Hello there, this is the news on NTA International. I am Stella Inameti, and my sign language interpreter is Anna Olainka. First, the headlines. Federal government promises fresh incentives to boost agricultural investment in Nigeria. New era sets for transformation of Nigeria's railway sector underway. UN investigators accuse Israel of genocide as US urges Qatar on mediation. Thanks for joining us. On September 16, the world commemorates the International Day for the Preservation of Ozone Layer, an annual reminder of the global commitment to protect the Earth's fragile atmospheric shield. With this year's theme, From Science to Global Action, Nigeria stands out as a dynamic example of how developing nations are translating global treaties into local impact. Charles Alpha reports.
For years, the ozone layer protected life on Earth, shielding humans, plants, and ecosystem from the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays, which are known to cause skin cancer, eye damage, and harm to agriculture and marine life. However, over time, human activities have contributed to the depletion of this vital shield. That's why this year's commemoration, coinciding with the 40th anniversary of the 1985 Vienna Convention, the landmark treaty that led to the foundation for the adoption of the Montreal Protocol, is being celebrated. As a part of both the Vienna Convention and the Montreal Protocol, Nigeria has made significant progress in supporting the recovery of the ozone layer. Alongside other nations, it celebrates the enduring legacy of these agreements, focusing on global collaboration to heal the planet and reduce harmful substances such as the hydrochlorocarbons in the atmosphere. In Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Environment, in partnership with the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, UNEP, and other agencies, marked the day with activities highlighting the country's continued commitment.
We owe it to our country and the world to save our only ozone layer by strengthening our policy, adopting cleaner technologies, building strong partnerships, and ensuring that future generations inherit a safer and healthier environment.
Nigeria's proactive approach in mainstreaming Montreal Protocol priorities into its nationally determined contributions, particularly 3.0, the recent one, under the Paris Agreement, is a commendable step. It's a very bold step.
With this year's theme, From Science to Global Action, the spotlight is on bold initiatives to phase out fluorinated greenhouse gases and advance healthier and safer planet. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Minister of Environment Balarabe Abbas Lawal, who also chairs the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project Governing Council, has held a high-level meeting with the Board of Trustees of the Ogoni Trust Fund in Abuja. Charles Alpha reports that focus of the meeting was on the shared commitment to accelerate the Ogoni cleanup and restoration program.
A major new independent scientific assessment by the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, reveals that pollution from over 5 decades of oil operations in Ogoniland has penetrated further and deeper than many had imagined. While HYPREP has restated its commitment to cleaning up the affected communities, this meeting, convened by the Minister of Environment, seeks to deliver lasting solutions that secure health, economic empowerment, and resilience for the people. The focus was on transparency, accountability, and ensuring that the people of Ogoniland remain central to federal government interventions, not just as beneficiaries, but as active stakeholders in ensuring stability. The minister, who also chairs HYPREP Governing Council, stressed that the Ogoni cleanup cannot be the responsibility of any individual or group, but a task that requires synergy.
So since inception, particularly in the last 2 years, HYPREP has made notable progress in addressing legacy environmental degradation, supporting community development, initiatives and laid the foundation for sustainable livelihood in Ogoni. However, we must work collectively and in collaboration with all stakeholders to accelerate the pace of Ogoni cleanup projects.
Minister Balarabi Abbas Lawal urged both the Governing Council and the Board of Trustees to harmonize strategies and align priorities for the timely and effective implementation of the Ogoni cleanup. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
United Nations investigators on Tuesday accused Israel of committing genocide in Gaza in a bid to destroy the Palestinians, blaming Israel's Prime Minister and other top officials for incitement, just as United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio urges Qatar to stay on as a mediator in Gaza talks. Chukunonso Mwabuize reports.
United Nations Independent International Commission of Inquiry on Gaza concluded in its 72-page report that Israeli authorities and forces had since October 2023 committed 4 of the 5 genocidal acts listed in the 1948 Genocide Convention. It stressed that the international community cannot stay silent on the genocidal campaign launched by Israel against the Palestinian people in Gaza.
The ongoing genocide in Gaza is a moral outrage and a legal emergency. Member states must act now. There is no need to wait for the International Court of Justice to declare it a genocide. All states are obligated to use whatever means within its power to prevent the commission of genocide.
The commission, tasked with investigating the rights situation in the Israeli-occupied Palestinian territories, published its latest report nearly 2 years after the war erupted in Gaza, following Hamas's October 7, 2023 attack inside Israel. Israel's permanent representative to the UN in Geneva, while rejecting the report, described it as fake and distorted.
The report relies entirely on Hamas falsehoods, laundered and repeated by others. These fabrications have already been thoroughly debunked, including in an independent, in-depth academic study by Bessa.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met Qatar's leader Tuesday and asked the Gulf country to stay on as a mediator in Gaza talks, a week after Israeli warplanes attacked Hamas leaders in the Emirates. Rubio, on a brief stop in Doha, held talks with the emir in his office.
We, of course, understand very fully that there is a huge appreciation from the U.S. for our role as mediators that has been stated in all the official statements by Israeli officials, including President Trump, and we highly appreciate that the United States is in partnership with us.
And the French appeals court has begun hearing the case of a former Rwandan doctor, Sostin Muyemana, convicted in 2023 for his alleged role in the 1994 genocide of the Tutsi minority. Before filing the appeal, Muyemana, 68, was found guilty of charges of genocide, crimes against humanity, and participation in a conspiracy to prepare those crimes by a trial court in Paris in November 2023 and was sentenced to 24 years in prison. He is the 6th suspect to have faced trial in France over the 1994 massacres, in which an estimated 800 minority Tutsis and some Hutus who tried to protect them were killed in over 100 days. Chukunonso Mwabuize, NTA News.
Polls have closed in Malawi as top contenders incumbent President Lazarus Chakwera and his predecessor Peter Mutharika await the outcome of the election. Plus, Sahel states recommend taking France and Ukraine to the International Court of Justice over alleged terrorism support. Again, Chukunonso Mwabuize has details.
Thousands of Malawians turned out to vote in Tuesday's general elections, with the incumbent president and his predecessor contesting for a second chance to govern the southern African nation, faced with soaring costs and fuel shortages. Long queues were formed at several polling stations across the mostly rural country, hours before they were due to open at 6 a.m. local time, with some delays reported. 17 candidates are running for president, but observers say the race is between incumbent Lazarus Chakwera and Peter Mutharika, with a winner requiring more than 50% of votes. A runoff likely within 60 days. Chakwera, a 70-year-old pastor, and law professor Mucharika, 85, have campaigned on improving the agriculture-dependent economy that has been hit by drought and cyclones. The election is also for seats in parliament and local wards. Polling stations closed at 4 p.m. local time, ballot counting commencing immediately, with the results expected as early as Thursday.
Saisit la Cour internationale de justice.
In another development, Nigeria's Minister of Interior and Decentralization, Mohamed Touamba, has announced the decision of the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, to prosecute France and Ukraine at the International Court of Justice over alleged terrorism backing. Touamba stated this at the second meeting of AES Justice Ministers in Niger. The meeting coincided with the Alliance's second anniversary, bringing together delegates from Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Created in September 2023, the AES transformed into a confederation at a July 2024 summit to deepen judicial, legal, and security cooperation. Chukunon Songwabweze, NTA News.
The federal government has announced fresh incentives to boost agricultural investment, part of ongoing reforms to unlock Nigeria's vast food production potential through new policies that serve as a game changer for agriculture and infrastructure investments in the country. Vice President Kashim Shettima disclosed this during the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations National and Subnational Hand-in-Hand Investment Forum in Abuja. State House correspondent Abdulrahman Jabrila reports.
This is the National and Subnational Hand-in-Hand Investment Forum, holding in Abuja to enhance agricultural investment in West Africa and the Sahel. It's part of the renewed hope agenda, the pride destination of Nigeria in the agricultural sector, targeting to remove 35 million Nigerians out of poverty.
Nigeria is a hub of digital revolution in the African continent. The renewed hope agenda, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is committed to converting these trends into tangible outcomes. It is a whole-of-government approach that demands urgent action. We must facilitate access to land and resources for serious investors. We must drive mechanization to reduce drudgery and enhance productivity. We must strengthen the agricultural credit system to ensure capital flows where it is needed most. We must prioritize value addition to create jobs and wealth within our borders. We must build the infrastructure that link farm gates to markets.
Nigeria presented an overview of the country's investment atmosphere and profile, with focus on women and youth, creating an enabling environment through lifting of some tax burden on the citizens and other incentives, as well as policies and legislations.
Climate shocks, food insecurity, and malnutrition remain pressing challenges. But through irrigation, innovation, and targeted investment, we can turn these challenges into opportunities for sustainable growth, food sovereignty, and regional integration.
A new partnership between the EU and Nigeria's National Space Research and Development Agency on innovative agriculture. This project will generate critical data and information to aid and attract investment in climate-smart agricultural practices, including irrigation, water resource management, livestock development, and selected value chains across 7 ecological zones in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, the Hand-in-Hand initiative has made remarkable strides in identifying and matching investment opportunities in agriculture with interest of private sector.
Investing $3.14 billion in the Nigerian agricultural sector, supported through strengthening public-private partnership to address issues of hunger and malnutrition in the country. In Abuja, Abdulrahman Jabrila, NTA News.
The federal government has filed a 5-count charge against the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, Omoyele Showore, and others. In the charge filed before the Federal High Court, Abuja Division, the prosecution team listed Xcore and Meta Incorporation, legal owner of Facebook, as defendants. The charge is predicated on a one-week ultimatum which the DSS handed down to the defendants to delete what it described as a false, malicious, and inciting social media post against President Bola Tinubu. The ultimatum expired on Monday without the defendants deleting the post on President Tinubu. The alleged offending post made on August 25, 2025 is claimed to be contrary to Section 24, subsection 2B of the Cybercrimes Prohibition and Prevention Act 2024. The prosecution is equally alleging that the post was false. However, no date has been fixed for the arraignment of the defendants before the court. You're watching the news on NTA International. We'll take a short break now. More news when we return. Thanks for staying with us. The 7th National Day of Identity has called attention to the need for renewed push to strengthen the backbone of Nigeria's digital future. Guests at the event, including President Bola Tinubu, who was represented, highlighted the role of identity in driving inclusion, security, and national development. Victor Azu reports.
National Identity Day returns for the 7th time, and this year it is less about the numbers we carry in our wallets and more about the backbone that makes those numbers count. From the podium, President Bola Tinubu, represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, sets the tone. He calls a trusted identity system a master key, opening the doors of economic inclusion, strengthening financial systems, sharpening national security, and giving citizens access to opportunities with confidence in their government.
Achieving a truly robust identity ecosystem requires collaboration. We must deepen harmonization across agencies, strengthen partnerships with the private sector, and expand cooperation with international partners.
Director General of NIMSI, Abisoye Koka-Odushote, brings it home. For her, the national identification number, powered by infrastructure, is more than digits on a database. It is a passport to protection, empowerment, and dignity for every Nigerian. And then comes the ministerial charge. Keep modernizing, he says, to widen enrollment and to ensure identity-driven services are delivered with dignity and predictability.
Let us use this day as a reminder that identity is power, protection, and participation, that every individual counted is a step closer to a stronger nation.
Go, deliver, keep making us proud. Let Nigeria be greater for it. Let renewed hope not be a dream. Let it be a reality in identity journey.
With the theme, Public Infrastructure, Backbone to Digital Public Infrastructure, this year's message is unmistakable. Digital identity can only stand on strong physical foundations, power, broadband, and secure systems. Without them, the promise of digital identity risks collapsing. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA.
President Tinubu has returned to Abuja after spending part of his annual holiday in France. The presidential airplane landed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport at approximately 6:45 p.m. this Tuesday evening. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, led a delegation of government officials to receive the president on arrival. President Tinubu departed for France on September 4, 2025 to spend part of his annual leave. He was initially scheduled to divide the period between France and the United Kingdom, but eventually ended the vacation in France. While in Paris, the president held a private luncheon with his French counterpart, President Emmanuel Macron, at the Élysée Palace. The Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation has inaugurated the National Technical Working Group on Sustainable Rural Water Supply Systems, a key initiative aimed at improving the long-term functionality and resilience of rural water infrastructure across the country. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Richard Felangwa, at the inaugural meeting underscored the importance of the initiative in strengthening Nigeria's water sector and advancing national development goals. He highlighted that access to clean and safe water is both a basic human right and a critical driver of socioeconomic growth. He emphasized that sustaining rural water facilities requires deliberate investments, effective maintenance, and strong collaboration among government institutions. He urged the working group to work as a unified team, share innovative ideas, and develop practical solutions to ensure long-term sustainability of rural water facilities across Nigeria. Chairman of the group and Director of Water Supply, Babarinde Mukaila, explained that the newly inaugurated National Working Committee will harmonize approaches, strengthen partnerships, and promote timely responses to challenges of water supply. A statement by the Director of Press and Public Relations, Funmi Imoentiyan, said the National Technical Working Group will serve as a multi-stakeholder platform to share experiences, guide policy implementation, and provide strategic recommendations to enhance rural water supply services nationwide. Heart disease affects millions of people around the world, but there are medical professionals out there working tirelessly to prevent, treat, and even reverse the damage. On every International Day for International Interventional Cardiology, these heroes of heart health are recognized by raising awareness about cardiovascular diseases. Uche Ugochukwu beams searchlight on the day in this special report.
Interventional cardiology is described as the act of using minimally invasive procedures to treat heart diseases. From angioplasty to stenting, these procedures can help restore blood flow to the heart and prevent heart attacks.
And what we used to do, well, we used to go through the groin and find blockages in the blood vessels that supply the heart muscle and unblock those vessels so as to improve the blood supply to the muscle so that its function would be good, and that would reduce the chances of somebody dying or suffering from long-term heart failure.
We're starting to see, the facilities here capable of offering that care.
The main challenges we have is people not recognizing their symptoms on time. So most people that have a heart attack, which is blood vessel blocked, suddenly they have severe chest pain, they end up treating ulcer, they end up going to patent medicine stores, while they're having a heart attack until it's very late.
Since 2022, the UN General Assembly designated September 16 to educate and urge members of the public to take advantage of the medical research and technologies driving progress in heart health.
We're seeing from our medical mission trips every year is that coronary heart disease is actually on the rise, but people are just not aware of it.
There is obviously a gap in Nigeria between what we have here and what we want all over the world, and that's the gap we're closing.
The day also calls for the appreciation of these medical professionals whose dedication and innovation are giving patients a second chance in life. No doubt, heart disease is still a major public health issue, but experts say knowing the signs of a heart attack and getting prompt medical attention can make all the difference. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Archiving, the careful preservation of records and information, is gaining greater importance across the globe, and Nigeria is being urged to embrace it as part of efforts to protect its history and strengthen national institutions. These were the submissions of experts at the West African Public Sector Breakfast Meeting 2.0, PECU. Haman Jabani reports.
Beyond governance and learning, archiving play a vital role in preserving diverse cultures and traditions. Embracing archiving is seen as a key step in safeguarding the nation's collective memory. Without it, valuable knowledge, struggles, achievements, and cultural identity may be lost to time. This gathering of key stakeholders sought to secure their buy-in of the importance of building continuity, preserving identity, and creating a bridge between Nigeria's past, present, and future. With the team building Nigeria's data repository of an AI-powered future, the trillion-dollar economy, Pickle stressed that archiving goes beyond storing all files. It involves safeguarding the nation's collective memory, documents, photos, artifacts, and oral histories that tells the Nigerian story. Without such preservation, much of the country's heritage and historical achievements risks being forgotten.
Archiving is a long-term process, and we will get there in the end in a way that, one, does justice to our service delivery platform. Secondly, that does justice to the incredible work that all of you in this room do in your individual organizations.
Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
And that's the news on NTA International at this time. I am Stella Inamiti, and assigned language interpreter Anna Olainka. Thanks for watching.